Part A says sketch at least one cycle of a sine curve with amplitude 1 and period 6 pi. And then it says that to assume that A is positive. And what that's saying is that this graph is not reflected. All right, so the first thing I want to do is label my x-axis. I know that I'm going to need 4 tick marks. And I know that 6 pi is going to be my 4th tick mark, because that's the period. So now in order to figure out what I need to do to get the rest of my tick marks, I'm going to take that 6 pi and I'm going to divide it by 4. If I reduce it, I end up getting 3 pi over 2. So what this tells me is that every time I move to the next tick mark, I'm going to be adding 1.5 or 3 pi over 2. So that means my first tick mark will be 3 pi over 2. If I want to find my next tick mark, I'm going to take this one right here that I just put in, and I'm going to add another 3 pi over 2. So I'm going to do that over here. 3 pi over 2 plus another 3 pi over 2. If I added that straight across, I would have 6 pi over 2, which reduces to 3 pi. And you can do this in your calculator. Now to find my third tick mark, I'm going to take my 3 pi and I'm going to add 3 pi over 2 again. So 3 pi plus 3 pi over 2. Okay? And if I wanted to do this, I could use my calculator, or you could change this so you have a common denominator. So I could make this 6 pi over 2 plus 3 pi over 2, so that would be 9 pi over 2. And then it's always a good idea to just double check. So I'm going to take my 9 pi over 2 and add 3 pi over 2. That gives me 12 pi over 2, which comes out to 6 pi. So now I can see I ended up in the right spot. All right, now this tells me the amplitude is 1, so that means that my graph has to go up to 1 and down to -1. And now since I know that this is a sine curve, I know that I'm going to be starting here at 0, 0, and then I'm going to go 1, 0, -1, 0. So I can connect the dots here. Okay, so that's part A. Part B asks us to write an equation. So I have a lot of information that I need. I know that my amplitude is 1, and I know a period is 6 pi, but period does not get plugged immediately into the equation. I have to do a little bit of work first. So I need to figure out what my b value is. So I'm going to use this equation that b is 2 pi over the period. So since period is 6 pi, the pi's would cancel, and my b value reduces to 1/3. So I'm going to have y equals, amplitude is 1, so I don't have to write the 1. And I'm going to just put sine of bx. And then there's no midline change or anything, no reflections. So this would be your final answer. And then again, I just want to write it as the other correct version, which would be the sine of x over 3.